We can't give an exact date to that momentous event, but at some time in the autumn of 937, the Anglo-Saxon army, led by King Athelstan, destroyed a combined army of Vikings and Scots at a place called Brunanburh. Brunanburh was a major battle in England's history, and for years after was simply called the Great Battle. It even inspired the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle to break into verse. Never was there more slaughter on this island, never as many folk felled before this, by the sword's edge, as books and aged sages confirm, since Angles and Saxons sailed here from the east, sought the Britons over the wide seas, those proud warsmiths. They overcame the Welsh, glory-hungry earls, and took hold of this land. It might have been the great battle, but it was swiftly forgotten, and even the place where the battle had been fought was also forgotten. We now know the battle was fought on the Wirral, and while it is tempting to say that the conflict was the birth moment of England, it is more accurate to see it as a part of the process. That had begun much earlier, when Athelstan's grandfather, King Alfred, had the ambition to unite the different Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. By Alfred's time, there were 4 kingdoms: Wessex in the south, East Anglia to the east, Mercia in the Midlands, and Northumbria stretching to the Scottish border. 2 of those kingdoms, East Anglia and Northumbria, were under Danish rule. Mercia was under constant pressure from the Danes, and only Wessex was apparently safe under Saxon governance. That changed in 878, when the Danish Vikings invaded Wessex and drove Alfred to the Somerset marshes, where he became a fugitive. Somehow he raised an army and inflicted a devastating defeat on his enemies at Ethandun, and in the subsequent years, and under his son King Edward, Mercia became a part of Wessex, and the Saxons then inflicted defeats on the Danes in East Anglia. Alfred's ambition had been to unite all those lands where English, the language of the Saxons and Angles, was spoken. It would not just be language that united the peoples, but religion too. The Danes and other Northmen who held so much land in Britain were pagans, and Alfred was determined that they should become Christian. The victory at Brunanburh weakened the Northmen's hold on Northumbria, and that kingdom swiftly became a part of what was now to be called Englaland. There were to be other fights to seal the conquest, but by the time the Normans, descended from Vikings as their name implies, invaded Englaland, they discovered a united country with a working system of government, taxation, and law. That law was policed by shire reeves, from which comes our word sheriff. The shires were Saxon inventions, but under the Normans, the more usual word counties was used, and the sheriffs were consigned to America's Wild West. There was an irony in the story of the Saxon conquest of England. The struggle against the Northmen was almost a repetition of an earlier invasion when the Saxons had first come to Britain. That happened as the Romans were abandoning the island, leaving behind them a string of forts along the eastern seaboard designed to repel the Saxon incomers. Those forts failed, and a succession of Angle and Saxon invaders landed, pushing the native Britons outwards into what is now southern Scotland, into Wales, Cornwall, and south across the sea to Brittany. There is an echo of that brutal, merciless time in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle's report on Brunanburh, claiming that the famous battle marked the greatest slaughter since Angles and Saxons sailed here. From the east sought the Britons over the wide seas, those proud warsmiths. They overcame the Welsh, glory-hungry earls, and took hold of this land. That poem, written in 937, also contains an echo of tribal triumph over an ancient enemy, and a celebration of the defeat of a new enemy, who had first been recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle in the year 787. In that year, 3 ships arrived on the coast of Wessex. Then the reeve rode there and wanted to compel them to go to the king's town because he did not know what they were, and then they killed him. These were the first ships of the Danish men which sought out the land of the English race. Those 3 ships might have been the first.